Hello, ladies and gentlemen, whoever listens to our podcast. Maybe we have other, kind of in-between people. We're here to support you, too. This is the You, Me, and BTC podcast. I'm Tim Baker, and I'm doing the beginning of this episode again because Daniel doesn't feel like talking much to you. He doesn't feel like spreading any kind of New Year's cheer, which is when you'll probably be hearing this.
Yeah, I hate all of you, so I just don't want to talk to you.
And I also hate ice cream.
I haven't introduced either of you yet. You can't talk. And we hope that you're bringing in the new year by dedicating an hour or so, probably less, to this podcast and starting your whole new year with remembering that you should be listening to us and that you should be donating to us and that this is a way to gauge your progress in life is as you're listening to us, and we want you to stay with us. Anyway,
yeah, that's a good point. The more you listen, the better your life is. Yeah.
I mean, we give good advice, we offer entertainment, relaxation, it's the whole 9 yards and everything. Well, I hate that. What? Do either one of you know why it's the whole 9 yards?
It has something to do with, I don't know, like a
people
war.
I haven't introduced
or
yet.
I don't know if it was like D-Day or Iwo Jima or something, and they fought for days and all they got was 9 yards.
Oh, I thought it was for football.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I always thought it was for football too, and I thought it was supposed to be kind of ironic.
Yeah, so did I.
Or like it was supposed to be like.
I thought I heard differently, but I could be wrong.
Anyway, we can't look it up because we have to be extra quiet. You guys are maybe getting a little bit more of a live action show.
Oh,
that doesn't
yeah,
make any
just
sense.
like last week. And
yeah.
Tim missed it. What did you miss that for, Tim? What were you doing last night? Or no, yesterday morning.
Wait, yesterday morning?
Yeah, me and John recorded the first one.
I was at work all day.
Yeah, well, screw you. You
no,
think
I got
work is more important
it was weird.
than this?
What?
You think work is more important than this?
No, I just didn't think I was
going
to. No, I didn't realize I was going to get stuck. I got stuck there all day. People just kept on. There were a bunch of people out just trying to avoid their families after the holidays, returning gifts they didn't like.
Anyway, yeah, you're right, Tim.
It
is another live-ish edition, live to tape anyway. I think that's what they call it in the radio business.
No one cares. Anyway, this is Daniel Brown speaking with me today.
Oh, yeah, you've been trying to introduce
and John
us for
Stewart,
however long.
Who is...
I didn't say you could introduce me.
Yeah, but Daniel said I had to introduce both you. So
I never said you had to do anything.
You asked me, and I agreed to do it.
So you agreed to do that?
Yes.
With yourself.
I have a lot of conversations like this. And see, this is exactly why conversations in my head aren't this confusing or going back and forth. People don't argue with me. It's a lot easier. Anyway, we're going to have a little bit more of a live show for you today. We're going to probably go back and do some news stuff. And I don't know why I'm saying probably, because I'm pretty much... Here, John can start it right now.
Are we going to do some new stuff or some news stuff?
We're going to do some new news that you need to know because, I was going to...
Yeah, we figured since we're kind of doing live, we'll kind of replicate the YMB live style where we just have a couple news stories and just go one after the other and see what happens, so... I guess that's where we're headed.
See what happens. Just sounds like a recipe for an exciting show, doesn't it?
It's completely true.
Well, he's going to read this news story, and then he's going to read this one, and we're just going to see what happens.
Anyway, John's going to kick us off, so you should probably stop me and Tim from whatever we're doing right now.
Yep. By the time this comes out, this might be old news.
Oh yeah, that's true. A week and a half.
So. Keep that in mind.
We're recording on the 29th of December.
Yeah, this is recorded in advance because Daniel's going to be out of the continental United States for a couple weeks.
Oh yeah.
But this is about Segregated Witness, which right now is kind of seems like it's the next chapter in the block size debate, although in a lot of ways, it's not really that related to the block size debate, at least in my opinion. If you haven't heard, Segregated Witness is this proposal by Blockstream developer Dr. Pieter Woolley. I don't know how you say his name, but some people think it's gonna be a solution for the block size scaling stuff. It doesn't really have anything to do with scaling block size, though. What it really is basically cutting out signatures from transactions to compress transaction size. So rather than making bigger blocks, we just make the transactions smaller so that more can fit in the single 1 megabyte block that we already use. And yeah, I guess like the thing that people have been talking about is that it's kind of like a compromise, and it doesn't require a hard fork. It would be more of a soft fork kind of thing, less of a shakeup. Yeah. I have some other stuff to say about it, but what do you guys think about it before I get into anything else?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, it does. This is the first time I'm reading about it, I'll say. So I could be completely wrong on some things. I think that happened to us when we did initially cover the block size debate. We didn't fully understand it, and we probably still don't. But anyway, I can try and say what I can try and say, and that is that.
Isn't that inspiring?
Yeah, no, it does seem like they're making the transactions smaller. I do appreciate the effort to just look at things differently. I think that's a big thing in any kind of problem solving. Like, everyone's arguing about how do we make the block size bigger, or should we or shouldn't we? And then all of a sudden someone's like, well, hang on a sec. Can we make transactions smaller? And I do appreciate at least thinking differently. I don't know a ton of technical stuff about how successful it'll be, but I mean, hey, he does say reducing the size by 47%. That's pretty serious.
I actually wanted to bring that up because he says reduce the size by 47%, and then he says, in essence, we find that we have 40% more one-to-one transactions in the block size. I don't understand how that math works.
Yeah, you should have twice as many.
Yeah, you should have, it's shrunk by approximately 47%.
Yeah, call it 50%. If you cut everything in half, you can fit twice as many.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It is some sketchy math there.
Yeah, but I guess he just like copied and pasted the same number. Also, while I was skimming over this, I read it earlier today. Above the quote, it says segregated witness. They left a G out. And as I was reading it, I thought that this whole time I had been saying segregated when it was actually segregated. And I was like, I was wondering why it was called segregated, and then I like read down further, and it says segregated again, and I was like, oh, that's just a typo.
It is segregated. Yeah. So the biggest thing there is that this is not the best article.
Yeah.
It's from Bitcoin Magazine by Jacob Donnelly. I'm not going to be rude, but work on that, Jacob.
Yeah, there was a few things that I thought were a little bit confusing in it, and he needs to work on his math, but at least this article alerted me to the fact that segregated witness exists.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess another thing that we could talk about is there's a tweet from Andreas, and it's, as we speak, I believe it's still the top post on Reddit on our Bitcoin. His tweet was, segregated witness is necessary but not sufficient. We must also raise the block size limit. Inaction is a radical reshaping of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense, because people were talking about raising the block size limit to like 8 megabytes or something, or 10,
a lot of people said
20. Right. So doubling, like we said, if you cut the transactions in half, you can fit twice as many. But that would be equivalent to increasing the limit to 2 megabytes. And a lot of people were saying we need a lot more than that. And so I mean, especially because it's Andreas, it's always hard to disagree with him. But really, it does make sense. Like, okay, segregated witness, it's cool, it's helpful, but it's not enough. We need more.
Yeah, and I guess that answers your question about how successful it will be. He at least seems to think that there's no issues with segregated witness, so I'd imagine it's probably pretty safe.
Right. I guess it's worth trying to explain what it actually is, and I'll try and do that. Basically, it says they remove the signature from the transaction and store it in a separate data structure. And the signature is 90 out of about 170 bytes. And I mean, sure, of course, if you're removing data, that's helpful. My question is, what is that separate data structure, and how is it, if you have to store it somewhere anyway, like, how is it more efficient? I'm sure there's a valid answer to that. It just doesn't explain what that is right here. So maybe we'll get to it in a few weeks if this keeps being a thing. But at the moment, I guess all I can say is I'm not really sure how that separate data structure is supposed to work.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I think did they bring up something about multi-sig transactions in the article?
I did not see anything like that.
Oh yeah, it's in the quote box. It's 90 bytes out of 170 for a simple one, but then they say more complicated multi-signature transactions will save even more by using segregated witness. That was Gavin Andreessen. He was quoted in the article.
All right,
saying,
so wait, can you rephrase that? Say it again. Cutting 90 bytes out of 170 bytes is like a 1-to-1 transaction. But in a multi-sig transaction, the signatures take up even more space. Okay.
So this would save even more space if you're doing multi-sig transactions a lot.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's what the word is, multiple signatures. So if you have multiple signatures, you can cut out more of that data, and the transaction itself is probably about the same size. Yeah, I think I get that. Cool. Well, yeah, like we said, it's...
Can that cause any problems, like, security-wise, by taking the signatures out of it?
Yeah, that's honestly one of my biggest questions.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it really just depends.
There may be nothing, but I don't know enough about it.
Here's what I would say is I'm sure it couldn't be much if Andreas is behind it. I'm sure they have a plan to keep things okay, but I don't know what it is. And stay tuned, because I really want to get to that in a few weeks, because I want to figure it out. We don't have time right now, but I want to.
Yeah. That's the first thing that I initially thought about it too. Like, how is that going to work?
Right. Yeah, sweet. Well, we will, like I said, stay tuned and figure it out with us. Actually, by the time this comes out, it'll probably already be implemented. So anyway, I guess, should we move on, guys? And I guess we'll let Tim take it away with one of his articles. All right, let's do it. Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, really? They're going to let me do it? Okay. Cool.
No, I'm making you do it, Tim.
Oh, okay.
You have to submit.
Cool. No. Fuck your hierarchy of power.
Wow. Excuse you.
Oh, my God. Anyway, this is an article from Bloomberg View. It's by Mark Gilbert. So, it's cool to be able to pronounce the name.
Yeah, that does not happen a lot with our articles.
I never realized how often it is that we have unpronounceable names.
Yeah.
Anyway, the article title is Bitcoin won 2015. Apple ... did not. The
yeah,
title's
and
a
it's
little bit
one.
annoying,
You can
but-
just say
one
ellipses.
WON. Bitcoin won.
Didn't I say that?
Yeah, but in the first
Oh, you're making
time,
sure they didn't think I said Bitcoin
Well, yeah, because
won 2015. They're like, what do those numbers mean? I don't understand.
Yeah, the first time you read it, I heard ONE. I'm like, Bitcoin 1? Okay.
That's
anyway.
No one else would have had that problem, Daniel. Just
But you're probably right.
So, actually, the article's about more stuff than just Bitcoin and Apple. They mentioned Volkswagen and their whole debacle over how they rigged their emissions systems to only put out a certain amount before they got checked, and about other cars that are coming out. We're not too interested in that, except they do mention that they're finally starting to do hydrogen cars. It's completely off subject, but did we watch something in school about that? Like a long time ago? Okay, hydrogen cars, and you had to have like a big license for it and everything.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever said this on the show, but the three of us did go to high school together ages ago.
Well, I wasn't. Yeah, I guess I did.
Oh, well. There it is.
Are you against that? You can always cut it out.
No, that's the problem. I can't. This
Yes,
is
you
permanent.
can.
This is
You can
permanent.
you can just bleep. You can just go, and then you'll be like, oh, I don't know what they said.
This is going straight to the interwebs, Tim.
Straight right now, we're streaming
we can,
live.
but we're not, because we give it to them raw.
Uncut, unrated.
This is a show of good faith or something.
Yeah. It's a show of transparency and openness between us. These are the only other two people that I know in this world. I want new friends. Anyway, their next section.
This whole thing is an elaborate setup by Tim just to try and get more friends. The whole last 2 years.
It's not working.
That's funny because I think Daniel and I have made more friends out of it than Tim has. The ultimate irony.
Anyway, what about Apple, Tim?
The section in the article about Apple calls them the 11 of the year because the Apple Watch, which, again, we don't care too much about. They do mention a little bit of Apple Pay, but they're not. They just mention that Apple Pay is not a huge success. I didn't really expect it to be a huge success. I think it might pick up in the next few years, but I wasn't expecting people to pick it up right away.
To pick up
Apple Pay, sorry.
Apple Pay, yeah. No, I don't know. Next few years, I can't really back this, but I just don't feel like it's that interesting. Like I don't really want to get into it, but I can just say that's my gut feeling. Like I don't really see a ton of people getting that attached to it.
Okay.
But Apple Watch actually. Obviously, Apple specifically, I'm not too interested in, but smartwatches, I think they're pretty cool. I might try one someday.
Thank you for that. Anyway, the article continues to go on to also mention Greece and their whole debt thing that went on over the year and how somehow they've kept on to their EU membership card.
Yeah, what even?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So many deadly stories that came out of there, and then it just
there's oh no, it's
whatever. They're still there.
It probably
whatever.
just doesn't.
Isn't that what I predicted about Greece?
What?
Did
they just extend it again, like they always do?
No, I was just saying. I feel like always with this kind of stuff, people are just so resilient that it happens and then everyone forgets about it and life goes on.
Yeah, I can't say I remember specifically, but
I'm a prophet, Daniel.
Yeah,
just humor him, okay?
Yeah, I guess that word escapologist, is that escape, ologist, they escaped
maybe.
crisis or something. And then the first line there is after months of breathtaking brinksmanship.
Brinksmanship is like dancing on I believe it's like dancing on
a brink.
Tightrope.
On a brink, yeah. I think
Like
that was pretty
rope,
self-explanatory. That didn't need to be explained.
Oh, fuck off!
I was like, that was self-explanatory. It didn't need to be explained.
Wow. Wow.
The ultimate irony.
Anyway, wait, but hang on, Tim. I don't understand what I don't get the point yet. I see Volkswagen, I see Apple, and I see Greece. What does that have to do with the headline? Bitcoin won, Apple did not.
What do you
I guess they're saying more like Apple did not, and Greece did not, and Volkswagen did not.
I just think they just didn't have a very interesting title because no one was going to be like, oh, I want to hear about how bad Volkswagen was. Oh, no.
Yeah,
it should have been something like the actually, because you can't pick anything because none of them are. It's not a very good article actually because none of these have anything to do with each other.
I think
he shouldn't be allowed to write this and get paid for it. Really.
They're just listing things that failed in 2015,
yeah,
and then they're like,
they said,
Bitcoin's pretty cool.
Yeah, the comeback. Bitcoin was the world's worst performing currency in 2015, losing more than 50% of its value against the dollar. This year, the digital currency extolled. But wait, never mind. This is stupid. It gained almost 40%, knocking the Somali shilling into second place. Oh wow. Then Gambian Delazi into third, and the Burundian franc to a distant fourth spot.
Burundi? Not Burundi.
Burundi? Where's the Burundi franc from? Is it from Burundia?
Maybe. No, but see,
probably from Burundi.
My guess is that all those other currencies must just be...
Yeah.
Oh, no,
there's nothing that can make Somalia get worse. Something probably good happened, like they got a hospital, so now the money's going up.
That was harsh, but probably true.
Tim has such a feud with Africa on this show.
True. Holy crap.
This goes way back to the beginning. Was that the very first episode?
No, there's no way it was that early.
It was like 20. That was when I was more comfortable.
I mean, it could have been like 12 or 15, but yeah, it was not the first one. If anybody doesn't know, he said something.
You don't have to. You have to make them go back and listen to it.
Yeah, go find it. Go find it. Anyway, I don't know. So, what do you think? Has Bitcoin been successful in 2015? Has it been better than all this other stuff? I mean, crypto, sure. I mean, obviously, like a lot of things have failed in crypto too. But at least there's been a crap ton of interest in stuff.
Yeah, I think there's been more positive interest this year. Whether that's like legitimate interest or it's just banks going, okay, how can we make the blockchain pretty much unusable except for it looks like we're more transparent.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty decent transition into the article I had, which was about kind of the last however many years in Bitcoin. And then some anticipation for 2016, because they do talk about how, you know, it used to be gambling, it used to be a bubble, it used to be a frenzy, and now things are kind of stabilizing. Like you said, Tim, it's more positive interest. But no, yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. Any other thoughts, John, about did Bitcoin really win 2015?
Yeah, I mean, it did well if all you're looking at is the price, but it doesn't seem like a ton has changed to me.
Wait, what was... how far... Okay, so it had... the bubble had completely popped by the beginning of 2015. I wasn't sure if it was still falling at the beginning of 2015, but it turns out it did rise in the end, I guess. Because they say it gained almost 40%. There you go. So, yeah, price definitely it's one. In terms of technology, I mean, compared to the previous year, I guess 2014, it seems like it was a lot slower. I mean, there was so many, like obviously there was like the block size debate, but nothing really ever happened. I mean, there was stuff like the 21, but none of that has just blown us out of the water. It was just interesting stuff that may or may not make a difference in the future. Where I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like in 2014, it was just like every day someone's like, oh, we have this new thing, this new wallet, this new website. And yeah, there's a ton of the same stuff still coming out, but I guess it's just less interesting now because it's always been there. Am I making any sense? Like, it seems like we already hit the biggest landmarks and steps. And honestly, like this is a weird thing to say, but it's kind of like 2015 has been a little slow. I don't know. Would you guys agree?
There haven't been like huge stories. Everything that's come out as a big story has been something we've known about for a few years. Because the cases are all done. They're getting sentenced now. So like those have been the news stories, but those have been around for a while, so it isn't as exciting. And then, I mean, there's always scams and stuff like that, but nothing... Well, did it? I can't remember now. If anything big did happen,
It's hard
you
to
had
tell.
like a bunch of stuff went down the dark net.
Yeah. Well, okay. Actually, let's just get into
Was
this.
that this year? Whenever that like 5 sites went down.
No, White Thursday that we called it. No, that had to be last year. Are you tired of Bitcoin dice and ready for something different? Try Lucky Bit, the original falling coin game at luckybit. It's the most exciting Bitcoin game on the web. You can bet on 5 different payout lines and win up to 999 times your bet. You can even use their faucet to get some free Bitcoin. Dice is boring. Play different at LuckyBit. Check it out at luckybit. But no, let's just get into this next article then, because then we can talk about what really has happened in each of these years. So this is from CoinDesk, and it says 2016 could be Bitcoin's best year yet. And obviously that's speculation. We have a love-hate relationship with speculation because we do it all the time, but it's always kind of a joke because it's impossible. Anyway, this is a pretty well-organized article, I thought. They go year by year for the first, 5-6 years. And then for 2016, they have several points about what may or may not happen. So I guess we'll just go through a little bit by a little bit. 2009 and 2010 is listed as conceptualization. And there's not a ton to say. They were getting started and thinking about things and trying to figure out how it should work. And there was hardly even a price for the tokens. 2011 says the first bubble and experimentation. And they list the first bubble as a rally from $1 to $30, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. That was still before we really got into it, right, Tim? And John. You weren't too far after.
Yeah, I think when I got it, it was about 70.
Yeah. I mean, we got it around 30, Tim, but it was the second.
20.
It was the second time it climbed to 30, not that first bubble, right?
Yeah.
2012 says gambling and leverage. Gambling was a big one, and that's the kind of thing I was trying to say. Like, when we first started the show, gambling was just in a huge frenzy about Bitcoin because it was new and useful and easy, and there was like Prime Dice and everything, and there still is, and there's still new gambling sites coming out all the time. But I guess that's the problem, is like it's old news. Like they're part of it now, and it's not really that exciting when people realize, oh, you can gamble with Bitcoin. It's just already a thing. And then they mentioned Butterfly Labs, and it's the same way. Like, ASICs were a huge deal, but now there's better equipment all the time, and it's like, well, yeah, of course it's getting better all the time. Does that make sense? Did I explain that very well?
I think so, yeah.
2013 says more mining frenzy, which we were part of that, right, Tim? That's when we got our. It could have been 2014. I don't remember exactly. I don't want to figure it out. But yeah, we did the same thing, which reminds me, you should check out our video of us destroying our miner, our Butterfly Labs. Did it have a name, or was it just like the 30 gigahash? It wasn't like the Monarch or anything. It wasn't the Jalapeno. Yeah, it had to just be the 30 gigahash or something. Yeah, anyway, we blew it up and shot it with guns and burned it with fire and hacked it with axes. Yeah, that was actually pretty much exactly a year ago. So I think the link, I'll type it in right now. I think the link ymb.tc/BFL. That's a lot of letters, but if you think about it, it makes sense, and it does work. ymb.tc/BFL. Check out that video. And well, we put it to some of John's like hardcore screamo music. And Tim, you did vocals for that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, check that out.
It's not screamo, Dan.
Yeah. So people say
it's death metal.
People try to talk to you, and people will be like, "Hey, you into screamo?" And I've never said yes. I mean, I get what they mean, but I refuse to accept that.
Everything that has
attachment.
screamo or screaming in it is not screamo. Anyways,
I would agree with you if I knew anything about the actual definitions of those things, but I don't. So, yeah. Let's see. Where did I stop off? 2013 mining frenzy. 2014 was altcoin distractions.
yeah.
I was thinking about that one. We never really did get into any altcoins, did we? I mean, we bought some Darkcoin. We talked about Canacoin, but we never really got into any of them, did we?
Never like seriously, but I feel like we talked a lot about like a lot of people we interviewed, and when I saw that I was like yes because of the conference. Like
right.
I just every single person at the conference like pretty much gave us a business card about their altcoin.
Yeah, that's true. And that was summer of 2014. And then that's when Doge blew up, which even that one, like there was an entire community right around Doge. And I never even touched it. I talked about it. I said that it was happening and it was blowing up, but I never touched a Dogecoin. I never visited the Dogecoin Reddit or anything like that. I never did it. And even with Darkcoin, like I bought it because people said it was interesting, but I never once touched the community. And it's probably still sitting out there in one of my accounts somewhere. I have no clue where it went. Anyway. Did you guys both bought Darkcoin, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or no,
Yeah.
now it's Dashcoin. I forgot they changed the name. It's Dashcoin now. But
I didn't even know that, and yeah, I have some.
yeah, I should be looking for that. It was like $100 worth. It's probably like $10 now, but anyway. All right, so here it is, 2015. Blockchain hype and maturing ecosystem. Blockchain hype, that's a good term. I mean, that's really what it's been all about this year. It's like away from Bitcoin and more into like, oh, hey, I'm a bank, I move money, can I use a blockchain? Or I'm a stock exchange, can I use a blockchain? And yeah, a lot of them have moved in that direction and been hyped about it and started working on projects. I mean, honestly, like I would venture to say that just about every single large financial firm out there is looking into blockchain and working on projects and stuff. Would you guys agree?
Yep.
I mean, it's like almost every week. It's like, oh, Visa is thinking about blockchain, or MasterCard just said that they started a blockchain research. It's just like every single week there's people doing that stuff. So this one, they actually did go into quite a bit of detail here. We don't need to hit all of it, but I don't know. The headline is pretty good. Maturing ecosystem. Yeah, I guess so. I guess actually, like the whole thing that this started with was we were saying like that it's been a slow year, right? And I think that actually fits with the maturing ecosystem, because as you mature, you're not going to have mining frenzies. You're not going to have altcoin distractions. You're not just going to have like leverage, speculation with leverage. You're not going to have bubbles. And we really did. We avoided a lot of that. I think the worst thing would be like the block size debate. But you know, and even I guess the blockchain hype, like there's a lot of people that are interested in it that might end up kind of failing, like the .com bubble in the end. But still, in general, we've kind of slowed down, we've kind of relaxed, we've kind of figured out what's going on. Would you guys equate that with the maturing ecosystem?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I think like you said, this stuff about like the altcoin distractions and stuff like that. Like I was especially thinking about that, how nobody really talks about altcoins that much anymore because it's kind of, I don't know. And like the stuff that we were talking about earlier with the block size debate and stuff like that, I feel like those kinds of debates are way more like serious and they're more in depth. I think it seems like the focus is getting more depth instead of breadth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think so. Just I mean, like I said, figure things out, solidify them before we just start frenzying into new things. I like that word, frenzy. Anyway, yeah. Any other thoughts on 2015 before we start speculating? All right, I guess I'll just jump into it. Number 1 for 2016. He says, here's what I'm expecting for the next 12 months. The Bitcoin network will scale. And he even mentioned Segregated Witness, which, yeah, we've talked about it. I would have to agree. I don't know if it'll be successful or not because there's the whole debate. There's risks on both sides of the block size and on whatever people try to do. It's going to be new. It's going to be different, and there's going to be a certain level of risk, but I think I would agree that it has to happen within a year. I mean, I haven't run the numbers myself, but that would be my guess. Any other thoughts? No?
Yeah, not on that one.
All right, number 2 then. Bitcoin will shine as a safe haven asset. Maybe. I don't know. Like I still feel like it's way too new compared to like gold or silver. I feel like it's way too new to actually be considered a safe haven. I mean, honestly, I tell people that all the time. Like, it's cool, but you have to understand it's brand new and we don't know what's going to happen. I've probably said that 100 times on the show. And so I would have trouble seeing it as a real secure safe haven asset within the next year.
Well, yeah, I would agree with you, but in light of the article, what he actually says in the body is that he thinks there's going to be renewed volatility in global markets. And so maybe not as much that Bitcoin is going to become so secure, but everything else is going to start falling apart.
Okay, yeah, I could absolutely see that. I mean, that kind of financial breakdown is stuff that people talk about nonstop, so I wouldn't commit to it, but I would not be one bit surprised if that kind of thing did happen, yeah.
You've been hoping for collapse,
I know.
too, right?
That's true. We talked about that a lot this summer. I do hope for collapse, so. Anyway, number 3, side chains will be appreciated as a major technical breakthrough. I guess. I mean, they're not really that new. They've been talking about them for probably about 2 years. So, okay.
You got to read the body, Daniel, underneath.
All right, go hit me with it.
I think the part is more of being appreciated because he compares it to how people called Bitcoin a Ponzi scheme all the time in the early days. And he's saying that people don't trust side chains and they think they're dumb or whatever. And he's just saying that people will catch up to them, I guess.
Okay. I could get that. I mean, I've never really had a problem with side chains. And I don't really know what side chains are currently being used or developed. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know a ton. But I like the idea a lot, a whole lot. I know what the idea is, and I like it. So, anyway. All right, so, yeah, you guys read the body again while I read the headline, and then tell me what I got wrong. Number 4, commodity giants will get involved with Bitcoin mining. I think that's a yes. I mean, I've kind of just expected commercialization in mining for a long time. And, I mean, he does say commodities, electricity. There we go. See, this is me reading the body now.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, Daniel, you got it all wrong, even though you agreed with him this time. Let me tell you why the body says that he's an idiot.
Does it? Does it really?
No, I haven't, really processed it yet.
Okay. Yeah, but no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, especially when you think about electricity. Faced with a bear market in commodity prices, which implies a declining demand for electricity, some big primary sector companies will partner up with Bitcoin mining companies to provide them with legal framework and physical infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be more profitable if you have a ton of resources and a big corporation maybe behind you. That's a kind of a question mark in Bitcoin as a whole, because that's what we try to avoid all the time. But it is true. It's going to be more convenient and more profitable that way. So we'll have to see and think about things and try to avoid that, I guess. Anything to add?
I'm good on that.
All right, let's see. There's 7 total here, so we're going to wrap up pretty soon. Number 5. The Bitcoin remittance network will further strengthen. I guess. I mean, that's another thing that they've been talking about and working on for a while. And sure, is it going to further strengthen? I guess, but it doesn't seem crazy to me. It just seems like something that's happening.
Yeah. I think that's just going to be kind of a natural progression thing.
Yeah, I've actually heard, I think we might have touched on an article in YMB Live, or maybe I just read it on my own, but somebody was saying that Bitcoin remittances had been a failure and weren't really that helpful, but I don't think I'd agree. I think anytime you cross borders, Bitcoin is by far the way to go, so...
Yeah.
Okay, number 6. Oh, this is a fun one. This will be interesting. The block reward halving, Halving, will have a positive, will HAVE, will have a positive effect on the Bitcoin price. That is an interesting one. And of course, there's going to be tons of speculation around this. And I remember we actually had a discussion about this episodes ago. I think it was on the show. So go look for it. Listen to every single one and find it, because it's out there somewhere. But yeah, we had a discussion about exactly this, about halving. I don't know if it was this halving and we were talking way in the future, or maybe we were talking about the last halving. But I think at the time I remember saying, like, well, yeah, the supply is kind of going to get cut in half, but everyone is expecting it. Everyone knows it's going to happen. And so it's not just going to double the price overnight. It's going to be a gradual, like, people are going to know and make adjustments way in advance. And so really it shouldn't be that crazy of an event. Maybe July. It's going to happen in July, right in the middle of the year. So maybe you could say that long term, between now and the end of the year, it could have a positive effect. And I guess that's what he's saying. He's not saying it'll happen overnight. So I could see it maybe long term from the beginning to the end of the year, but I don't think it'll be this crazy, holy crap moment where the price doubles. Actually, that I can see a little bit of a bubble right as it starts to happen, just because of speculation, because people are like, oh, it's coming. I need to buy Bitcoin and sell it right after the halving. So I could see a bubble, but I could not see an actual doubling or serious increase right away. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the last time anything like this happened, it was obviously Bitcoin was smaller, so things could change. It's not really something that we can predict completely, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it is true. Trying to predict the price alone is hard enough, but predicting it during a halving, who knows? Anyway, I guess number 7 it is then. Investors will be surprised. Every year I've been involved in Bitcoin, I've been shocked and amazed. Developers come up with new hacks and solutions on a daily basis. Competition is fierce and global. Yeah, I guess I would stick to that. Yeah, I mean, it's Bitcoin. It's been characterized by shockingness and amazingness and innovation and development and hacking. It's been characterized by all this since day one. So yeah, I'll agree with him there. It's going to be surprising, and let's see what happens. Let's have some fun and hope it goes well.
Yeah.
He does say, I attach a 75% probability to the predictions above. How do you pick a number like that?
Yeah.
Like, no matter what number you pick, if it's wrong, you're just going to be like, well, see, I said I could have been wrong. I said 99%, but hey, 1% could have been wrong, so I was actually right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he said it's because he expects to be surprised, and that's why he says only 75%.
Okay. Yeah, expect to be surprised. Are you really surprised then?
Yeah. I mean, if the 25% happens, I guess if that happens, though, you're less surprised for the 1% of after a 99% prediction.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Anyway, I guess we're about ready to call it. Any advice, guys? I mean, I would say, I guess I would say, don't predict the future unless you're at least 90% sure of it.
Yeah, or you're a prophet like I am.
Well, yeah, I'm 100% sure that John is 75% sure of his predictions of the future.
Yeah.
All right, Tim. No awkward pauses here. We're live to tape. Tell us your super enlightening advice of the day. See, this now you guys realize that Tim really is the worst one on the show. Literally, we say no awkward pauses, and the first thing he does is,
this entire episode has been a bunch of weird shit. God.
So your advice is, I've given you so much extra time now. All right, now he's just trying to make awkward pauses.
No, at this point I just don't know what to say for. I don't have any.
You could
fuck Volkswagen.
Oh, there we go. Fuck Volkswagen.
That's not.
I'm okay with that.
That's not actual advice, though. I
Tim,
feel like
it's from Germany. Hitler rode in a Volkswagen. I don't know if that's actually true, but it sounds terrible.
Didn't IBM build this shit for them to be able to calculate and make everything work for transporting the Jews around?
I don't know, Tim.
I'm pretty sure IBM. I think you might have sent that to me or something like that.
I think I saw something that was like a picture, meme, photographic, whatever they call them thing, like comparing Donald Trump to Hitler, and it was like you were saying with the Volkswagen, it was stuff like Hitler's mom had the same color hair as Donald Trump's mom and stuff like that.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a bunch of really dumb stuff like that. That's my advice, is to not be compared to Hitler or to be compared to Donald Trump, because I mean either one's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's a phrase, a logical fallacy called reductio ad Hitlerum, which is what is that? Is reductio like reduction, like if you're reduced to Hitler and you assume that it must be bad? I don't know.
Well, I think it has to do with simplifying arguments.
Okay. Well, Tim,
overly simple arguments.
We've given you like 2.5 minutes now. I'm going to give you 2.5 seconds, and then you're done. So
no, you come up with something useful, Daniel.
I already did. What did I say?
No, you didn't.
What did I say? I forget.
I have no idea because it wasn't even useful.
All right, so be useful when giving advice.
They
And
are
don't be
rapists,
Tim.
they are-
There we go. That's Tim's advice, is don't ever be Tim, because it's just not okay. Now, that's my advice, too. I don't want anyone else out there to be like Tim.
Don't ask Tim for advice because he doesn't have any.
Yeah. I like that one, too. All
And
right.
he has long, awkward pauses when you ask
So
him.
since this is
Like,
uncut
where
and
did you-
unrated, like we did last week, I'm gonna run the credits right now. I'm gonna say thanks a ton. Seriously, thank
Thanks
you
a
so much
ton.
for being here. Episode 106, I guess. All of the music in today's show, as always, except for that one time we played Frozen. As always, all of the music in today's show
you mean you.
is from John Stewart. Any comments, John? Any kind words? Any just heartfelt feelings about your music that you need to share? Because you don't normally get to do your credits, or you never do. I always just say the music is from John Stewart, but you got to have something interesting to say about that.
I
You pour
do
your heart
it.
and soul into it.
I do it, and it is put on the show after I do it.
Hey, what were we talking about?
Good
Awkwardness?
stuff. And
Yeah.
check out the website, btc.com, and do /BFL if you want to see that crazy, hardcore, not Screamo video with Butterfly Labs and guns and fire. And leave us
So,
a comment.
Like, it's real hardcore.
Yeah.
That's what I would say about my music. It's not screamo.
Leave us a comment anywhere on the website. Oh, there's a new chat box on there. You should check that out. I'm still tweaking it, but it does work to some extent, so check it out. Say hello. I might be there and say hi back, or I might not. And come back next Thursday for another wild and wonderful You, Me, and BTC podcast.
What is this, West Virginia?
I guess. Is that their slogan?
Yeah.
All right.
Wild
well,
and wonderful.
now I might have to cut something. I can't be associated with West Virginia.
It's
All
terrible.
right. See you guys. Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
That was